Welcome to a world where every single sound could spell doom. In John Krasinski's 2018 thriller, silence isn't just a virtue, it's a matter of life and death. Set in a dystopian future ravaged by monstrous alien creatures that hunt by sound, the film follows the Abbott family as they navigate the dangers of this terrifying new reality. The film opens with an eerie quietness that immediately signals to the audience, this world is unlike anything we know. We meet the Abbotts, Lee, played by John Krasinski, Evelyn, Emily Blunt, and their 3 children, who are scavenging for supplies in a desolate, post-apocalyptic town. The absence of dialogue and the careful, deliberate way the family moves already tells us something critical. Noise is their enemy. We don't know exactly why yet, but every step is careful, every breath controlled. In these opening moments, silence is as terrifying as it is profound. Here we're introduced to the central tragedy that defines the rest of the film. The youngest Abbott child, Bo, finds a battery-powered toy rocket. It's a moment that feels almost normal, reminding us that these are still children, trying to grasp any bit of joy or curiosity left in a world drained of hope. But this sense of innocence is abruptly shattered when the toy's noise activates. Lee and Evelyn panic, rushing to stop Bo, but it's too late. The creatures have heard the sound. Within moments, Bo is snatched away, his life claimed by one of the terrifying, unseen monsters. This devastating event sets the tone for the rest of the film, haunting the family. Especially Reagan, the eldest daughter, who had given the toy to Bo. From the very beginning, Krasinski establishes the stakes in this new world with brutal clarity. Sound equals death. Now, as we flash forward more than a year, the family's life has shifted into a tense, methodical routine. They've retreated to a farmhouse in the countryside where they've adapted to a life without sound. Sand paths lead the way to the house, preventing any accidental crunch of leaves or twigs. Barefoot and constantly on alert, the family communicates solely through sign language, which in a stroke of fate, they already knew because Reagan is deaf. Reagan's deafness is a central part of the story, and not just as a plot device. Her condition adds layers of emotional depth to the narrative. In a world where sound is lethal, Reagan is isolated not only by her disability, but by her guilt over her brother's death. She believes it was her fault, and though no one in her family has ever blamed her, the emotional divide between her and her father, Lee, grows wider as they struggle to connect. Lee is determined to protect his family, but we also see him working tirelessly on a way to fix Reagan's hearing aid. It's a father's desperate attempt to bridge the gap, both literally and emotionally, but it's also his way of trying to make things right in a world where so much has gone wrong. Krasinski expertly uses silence not just to create suspense, but to heighten the emotional stakes. Without the crutch of dialogue, every glance, every movement between characters speaks volumes. And then there's the sound design. The sounds we do hear are amplified. The creak of a floorboard, the rush of water, the hum of electricity. These are everyday noises, but in this world, they become signals of impending doom. As we follow the Abbott family through their daily lives, we get a sense of the incredible detail that's gone into their survival strategy. They've set up an elaborate system of warning lights, traps, and a soundproof bunker beneath their barn, all in preparation for the birth of Evelyn's new baby. The juxtaposition of new life against this deadly quiet world creates an unbearable tension. Every moment feels like a ticking time bomb. Lee and Evelyn's relationship is the emotional core of the film. They are not just surviving, they are fighting to maintain some semblance of normalcy for their children. There's a poignant scene where Evelyn asks Lee, "Who are we if we can't protect them?" This theme of protection and sacrifice comes to a head when Evelyn goes into labor. It's one of the most heart-pounding sequences in recent film history. A nail in the floor, something so small, so ordinary, becomes a harbinger of disaster. Evelyn steps on it, but she can't scream. The pain is excruciating, yet she knows that even the slightest sound could draw the creatures to her and her unborn child. She has to remain silent through the agony of childbirth. Every second feels like an eternity as the monsters close in. Meanwhile, Lee is outside with the children, unaware of Evelyn's labor. As chaos erupts, the family is separated, and the tension ramps up even further. Reagan and her brother Marcus are forced to navigate the dangers of this world on their own, while Lee desperately tries to reunite them. Reagan, feeling the weight of her guilt, believes her father doesn't love her anymore. The film reaches its emotional and thematic peak when Lee, in a moment of ultimate sacrifice, faces the creatures head-on to protect his children. In what is arguably the most heartbreaking scene, he signs to Reagan, "I have always loved you," before making the fatal decision to scream, drawing the creatures away and saving his kids at the cost of his own life. This moment is not just the climax of the film's action, but its emotional core. Lee's love for his family, his willingness to sacrifice everything, speaks to the deepest themes of the movie. As we near the end of the film, Reagan discovers that the very thing she thought was useless, her hearing aid, is the key to defeating the creatures. The high-frequency feedback it emits is their weakness, disorienting and ultimately killing them. The once helpless daughter becomes the family's savior, empowered by the very thing she thought made her weak. In the final moments, Evelyn stands with a shotgun, ready to defend her family as more creatures approach. The film ends on a note of resilience and hope, but also leaves us in the quiet, lingering tension that defined the entire experience. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can watch more videos like this. Also, tell us which film you want us to feature next. Thanks for watching.